He was by far my favorite high school teacher. I can say that now because all my high school teachers are dead, so I can't get in trouble. But he had an interesting quirk as a teacher. He would categorize us and then give us a suitable, at least suitable in his mind, descriptor. Sometimes those descriptors were meant to be educational, to teach us something. Like when he would call on Kirk, who sat in back of me, he would always call him the dweller by the church, because Kirk in Old English means dweller by the church. And there were others in the class that he did similar things to with their names or their looks. Sometimes, and most often, those came with a bit of an edge. Probably today he would be in big trouble. One of his favorite names for me and those of my classmates that happened to live on the outskirts of the metropolis of Salamanca, we were referred to as the country bumpkins on good days. On bad days, he used other descriptors for us, or if we were getting ourselves into trouble. Often he made those distinctions based on ethnicity. There were the Polacks, the Irish, the Italians. He stayed clear of the Indians, but he had his own word for me. It was simply DS, dumb Swede. He would either use that or simply say it's hyphenated, and I would get the point. After graduation, we exchanged St. Patrick's Day cards every year. And to his very last one before he died, it came addressed to Harold Jacobson, DS. What I found myself as I thought back feeling sorry for were the kids that never got a name. Because I realized later in life that what that meant was he had given up on them. He simply didn't think he could reach them. And so he didn't try to connect. That kind of divisiveness, the distinction, categorizing, has become rampant these days. It's not cute either, even if it ever really was. We divide, we name call, we condemn based on politics, economics, religion. You name it, we'll find fault with somebody else, give them a name, and throw them away, at least emotionally. Jesus has a word for those of us who engage in such categorization. It's an interesting little parable. It seems one day a farmer went out and sowed seed, and it was good seed, and the wheat came up. A marvelous harvest was promised. But one of his enemies came and sowed weeds among the wheat, and soon it became evident of what had happened. The manager of the farm came to the owner and said, "Do you want me to pull the weeds?" He said, "No." He said, "Let them grow up together, lest you damage the wheat." will take care of it at the harvest. Jesus' words are pretty plain. Don't go judging. As my mother used to say, when you judge somebody, you're pointing a finger at them and 4 back at yourself. Yeah. Let the harvest take care of the issues. And who is the Lord of the harvest? Well, that becomes clear later in Matthew's gospel when Jesus begins to separate out the sheep from the goats. And what a startling judgment. It is not those with right beliefs, whether it's political or religious. It's the ones that act with mercy and justice and love. Yeah, be careful, my friends, as you get sucked into this maelstrom of divisive talk. It can only turn out badly. Well, not always. One of the interesting things was that my senior year, he gave me a new name. He began to call me the Bucolic Bard. Of course, I had to look up the word bucolic. And wouldn't you know, it showed up on the SAT. It meant rural, common, simple. I figured it was just one more insult for the fact that I lived out in the country. Until I left college and began to work. And it was then that one of my good friends and colleagues said to me one day, he said, "You know, you're the Clarion storyteller." Huh, who knew? He did. The Bucolic Bard. I've come to own that one. Sometimes you can't tell the weeds from the wheat, the curses from the blessings. So best leave it up to God. I do think God has a handle on it. Amen.